It's still morning, yes. Wise warrior. I was thinking about this topic a lot this week, of course, because I had to get up here and sound brilliant. Anyway, each of us can have very different experiences at any event or location. And the thing that's different about those things is what's going on in here and how we see things. So, have you ever attended an event or taken a tour? And afterwards, you're talking with somebody about it, and you talk about what you liked best. They might not even remember your favorite thing, because it wasn't their favorite thing. It didn't stand out for them. So, why? First, there's imagination. We see what we're looking for. That's kind of a rule in life. Perception, we see things through our own eyes. And beliefs, we see what we believe in. This is kind of like all our science of mind teaching, right? Because our minds are very powerful, unique, and individual expressions of God. You've heard that a lot around here. So the wise warrior. The wise warrior is focused and does not get ensnared by smallness or details. Sounds like good advice, eh? And they're going for greatness like the well-trained martial artist. When the wise warrior walks into the bar of life, no one picks a fight with them. Their presence is enough. And no matter what is going on, there is a truth that has power to create change in our circumstances. You might have heard that a time or two here. So the Greek philosopher Plotinus said, "I do not argue, I contemplate. And as I contemplate, I let fall the seeds of thought into the mirror of mind, which then becomes the mirror of matter." The way of the world is the unpeaceful, unwise warrior. They joust at every windmill that comes along. But the wise warrior is already anchored in peace and poise. They are focused on what needs to happen without needing to fight about it. They recognize that all is one already, and all they bring is a recentering into that oneness. I really like this. It's from the Science of Mind textbook. One, alone in consciousness with the infinite, constitutes a complete majority. It's up to us to decide what we want, and then proceed with a calm confidence that it's already done in the mind of God. We can all perceive many things that need to change in the world. I do it all the time. But the out there is always a reflection of the in here, whether individually or collectively. As Einstein reminded us, we can't solve a problem at the level of consciousness that created the problem. So we must change our thinking, our consciousness, our perspective, our beingness, if we want to see change in the world. It is good to remember that we won't change the whole thing at once or immediately, but as we change how we see the world, we will change the world. We bring the principles of being spiritual beings, consciously manifesting something fresh and new. Principle is not bound by precedent, and neither are we, unless we believe we are. We always get to be right. So there's a quote by Plotinus that gives us a path to follow. "I do not argue, I contemplate." I like to argue. This is a hard one for me, but anyways, no change that. Trower tells us that the universe creates by contemplation, and so do we. The collective consciousness has taught us to jump up and down, yell and scream, and communicate outrage over situations. While this may feel very righteous, it has proven largely ineffective at creating real and lasting change. Change manifests in the outer, but it begins in the inner. Making war on the outer circumstances just empowers those circumstances. As religious scientists, we know that there's only one power, that behind and within all of the circumstances, no matter how ugly, there's a divine presence. When we commit to seeing things differently, we can create differently. The wise warrior takes a step back and centers themselves prior to entering the battle. This gives an opportunity to look past the appearance of things and see the core reality that is present. Instead of getting angry over situations, ask, what do I want to see here instead? Or, what is Spirit's highest idea here? Then contemplate instead of arguing. So, big thoughts. Anyways, and the second point, in his book, Yes, You Can Change the World, there's an author called Aman Matwani, invites us to follow a path. The path is an invitation to change how we see the world. We are invited to see the intrinsic worth of every person we encounter. This alone shifts our relationships. And the world is made of relationships. And then he invites us to 3 focus practices. Focus not on how little time we have left, but on how to make the most of what little time we have with every person. Much more powerful. Focus not on what you see on the outside of a person, but on the person within. See both the pain and the potential. Focus not on what's wrong with a person, but what makes them right. See their strength within their weakness. It's always 2 sides. So we are invited to become the change we want to see in the world. Heard that a few times, did you? It may seem a small thing in the face of what appears to be overwhelming challenges. Yet every change starts small and grows. Think of the seeds thrown out by various plants. A few tiny plants can soon occupy a whole hillside. We know that we are one, all interconnected. Thus, seeing the intrinsic worth of each person can create a change that snowballs. There is power in little things, especially when we multiply it by all the people in this community. So the third point is the wise warrior knows that it is not their power that creates real change. In third state consciousness, we recognize that we are co-creators with the infinite, and we open to life happening through us. We remember that we are directing the power, and that this power is greater than all the stuff that we see. There's an old saying, I stopped telling God how big my problems are, and started telling my problems how big my God is. Nice shift, eh? When we stand as wise warriors, otherwise practitioners of truth, we align with and become the infinite power of good. It can't be just something we talk about, nor even something we do. We must be the power of love, harmony, unity. The good news is that's who we already are. So it's not becoming something we aren't, but be unbecoming who we aren't, really. And spreading that light that we really are. Knowing that by sharing it, we will remind others of their light. Ultimately, what we all want is love. What we want is reunion with the divine, with God. So since God is love, that's what we are all seeking. And some of us forget and seem to become monsters. And yet, beneath the scary outer is the divine inner. Can we shift our focus and let go of running around in anger and see the truth? The intrinsic value of each person. I was thinking about this, and no matter what is going on, we all have the power to create change. But the process is about revealing the truth, because the truth is always there. We just have to get rid of the clutter that's in front of it, that's keeping us from seeing it. There's powerful tools that we work with in our minds and our imagination. Because imagination is a powerful thing. Think of it, in a dark alley, we can experience fear, even if there's nothing to be afraid of. It's all in here. Our imagination gets busy creating something, and our body doesn't know the difference between the fear of nothing or fear of something. Fear is fear, and it has the same effect on us. So that's the racing heartbeat, the sweaty palms, the shortness of breath, the little terror that comes up in the pit of your stomach. It doesn't matter that it's all in your head, because it's still real to us. So I was thinking on the physical plane, there's this thing about perception. Like, we see things, not the world as it is, we see it as we perceive it. And that's more about who we are inside and what we believe. And we project that onto the experiences that we're having. I was thinking about that story about the elephant and all those people that are blindfolded and they're each led up to a different part of the elephant. And then they're touching it, feeling it, and then afterwards they describe what this creature was. And it depends on where they were at the time touching this elephant, what they think it was. And like it's like a tree trunk, it's a lake, stuff like that. So we only ever get to see a small part of the whole at any one time. And in order to see the big picture, we have to go inside and connect with our spirit. Yeah, so attraction. Then there's, on the physical plane, there's attraction. We are attracted to people and situations that are comfortable for us. And that's what we surround ourselves with, is the people that we're kind of the most like. And also we go to places that we enjoy and we're comfortable in. And also the beliefs. We only see the things that we believe in. And if there's something else that we see that we don't understand, we twist it around until it matches what we believe in. And that's sort of that denial thing. And we can imagine a lot of things, like catastrophizing. There's danger here. And we can turn it into something big when maybe it's nothing, and it'll disappear into the nothingness from which it came. So in the metaphysical, we attract who we are. So we want to be the person who would be a good partner for the person we want to attract. Makes sense, eh? Be clear about what we want, and then remove any blocks that can be preventing what we want. And then strip away all the armor that we believe is protecting us from the monsters. Because we have a big, like the unconsciousness of us, we put armor around us so that we don't get hurt. So there's monsters in our mind, in our lives, family, workplaces. But as we strip away all this stuff, there's nothing left but love. The rest is all illusion. The wise warrior doesn't fight monsters. The wise warrior turns away from the monsters and remembers the truth. It's only love. It's all love. And it's not about being a better person. It's about having a better life. We already are better persons. My personal opinion is a happy person is probably a better person. The outer shows up. The inner reflects out. So our own experience of life is unique, and not everyone will interpret what's going on in the same way. We bring ourselves, our history, our beliefs, and who we are to every situation. And that's how so many of us can experience the same thing, but see it so very differently. However, when the truth is spoken, we recognize it as truth. So we can no longer hide in our own little caves of safety. The world is too interconnected in form, mirroring the interconnection we are of being. When we stand up against the monsters, we find that the monsters are really within each of us. just as the Hindu idea of Indra's net, where we are all jewels on the interconnection of strands of the web of life, and all mirror all. We find that we really are interconnected. But that's the good news. That means that as each of us changes, all of us change, whether perceptively or not. It takes, like the bamboo that takes years of tiny growth before it bursts forth in massive growth. Our willingness to be agents of spirit, wise warriors, practitioners of truth, creates change. It has to. It may not happen as fast as our instant gratification egos want, but it is happening. Our only question is, will we take up the cause and be participants in the evolutionary change being called forth? Or will we pretend that there's nothing we can do and hide until change washes away our comfy shelter? So nice to be able to hide sometimes, eh? We have tools of change, principles, practices, and methods. That's what we come here to learn. And that equip us to be mighty warriors. And when we take what we learn here and take it out into our daily lives, it creates change. It just has to. We are equipped with the tools for the job. Let's use them and recognize that the monsters are just within us. They're not out there. So thank you.